It really depends on the farm. Typically, our growers might have 200 to 300 sows. Out of that, you could expect 40% of that number equating into a weekly production. Okay. But we would, I mean, I'd look at picking up somebody that had 50 sows or 100 sows. You know, I would take 20 pigs a week. First thing we look for is we look for a committed grower. Somebody who's, one, not afraid of doing something a bit differently from the industry. Typically, if they're selling into the commodity trade, they would be asked to keep the pigs in a certain size fat score range. We're looking for something atypical of that. We want them to grow the pig unconstrained on our guidance, which, you know, for most.
So you mean free range?
No, we are not free range. The consensus with our growers that in growing pigs the way we do, it's not, it's really not in the best, we don't believe it's in the best interest of the animal is to grow them free range. And I know that might touch a lot of nerves, it's buttons, but for us and our growers, it's really not an option. These white pigs, they don't do well in the sun. They tend to burn. It's just like you or I would spend too much time in the sun. For sows, that can be lethal to more piglets because sows will give them up if they get overheated.
Whites will stress at 22 degrees C.
That's right.
So Lynette was talking about doing saddlebacks or Berkshires where they've got a hairy covering on them. They can be grown in other areas. There's only 14 places in Australia you can free range a white because of the temperature fluctuation. That's right.
Very important temperature also.
You know, there are also other considerations.
That's quite intensive production, though.
It is. Although I'll say this, seeing what my growers do as opposed to other growers, I wouldn't really use the word intensive with them because they tend to utilize, and that's another thing that costs more money, is to utilize space, to give the pigs enough space so that they grow at a good rate. You cram too many in together, it reduces their rate of growth, and that's just not economical. But for somebody growing a smaller pig, it is, because they don't necessarily need them to get very large. In the pork trade, a lot of butchers are buying a smaller pork pig, which might be anywhere from 45 to 60 kilos dressed.
Do they have farrowing crates?
We have farrowing, we have farrowing facilities to keep the sows from rolling on the piglets. And you have to understand the sows that bear these pigs are 4 times this size. Monstrous. Absolutely monstrous.
You have to see, I mean, this is when
They are. Isn't it shocking?
Well, they're huge. I
You
had a
see
friend
it?
of mine when I was a student, he had a pig farm, and amongst other things, and he put in some concrete in there so that the pigs wouldn't roll over them because they kept killing all the pigs. And he grabbed one of this little weaner, and she took off, and it looked like a rhinoceros. He just got to the fence, and she head-butted him over a 6-foot fence. You do not want to be messing with that.
I mean, shoulders to here probably. I mean, just huge. And really, they're only in there for a very short period of time, and that's to get the piglets to the point where they can be weaned. Because she's got very little control over herself at that point. She's just enormous.
How old would this one be?
This one would be, I'm thinking this one's probably 38 to 40 weeks. Yeah. Well, really, the gestation between, from the time of conception, it's really about, from the time of conception to slaughter is about 9 months. For our type of pigs.
So when you were saying unconstrained,
Unconstrained.
unconstrained, so basically what you meant was that they could eat whatever they like, whenever they like? Look, they aren't sort of given
They feed water themselves all day long, whenever they're ready to do it.
Cool.
And And that's the only way that we can put the fat covering and the marble back in the Pino, is to just let it in. And that's, you know, the way most pigs are
These are
grown.
pigs that aren't on the Jenny Craig diet.
It's mostly cereal grains, but our diets are very rich in more expensive grains. And I hope you understand, I can't get involved with exactly what those upper echelon grades are, because at that point, anybody can really do it. I don't know that they would. Like I said, this has been a tough sell for the last 10 years to convince people that you don't really buy meat with your eyes. We've all kind of been convinced that we buy meat with, you know, how many butchers have you seen come up to you and say, look at that, isn't that beautiful? Well, let me taste it, then I'll tell you,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But we've been kind of taught to shop with our eyes and not our taste buds. We grow what we think is a tasty pig. There's really only one way to do that. That's to feed, to grow it and feed it correctly.
I heard in, is it northern Italy, they feed the pigs on acorns and buttermilk to have a superior meat. Is that?
Little palm
Well,
wine.
superior for what, to what end, right? And that's true. One of my growers, I sent him, he came with his young bloke down here to a cricket tournament. And I said, well, be down in